The rain came hard and sideways across the flight line at Van Nuys Executive Airport, needling through the California dusk as if the sky itself were offended. Donovan Blake, tall, 42, tailored charcoal suit still crisp from a marathon board meeting in Tokyo, stepped from the car and drew one deliberate breath of jet fuel-laced air. He had crossed 9 time zones to make it home for his 10th wedding anniversary dinner in Malibu. But one simple hop from Van Nuys to the coast still stood between him and the celebration his wife thought he would miss. "Hey, sir, hold up." The voice sliced across the tarmac, nasal, soaked in condescension. Trevor Banks, a white man in his early 30s whose burgundy blazer screamed exclusive services, hurried over, umbrella pristine above his own head, not Blake's. Private jet clients use the lounge entrance. Commercial charter is that way. He pointed toward a distant beige building where the rain hammered oblivious rental vans. Donovan lifted a brow. "I am flying private. Orion Air Charter, Falcon 8X, tail number November 4210B. Trevor's smile tightened. "That's an owner's tail. Come on, boss. The real passengers arrive any minute. Don't let security escort you." Inside the car still idling behind them, Donovan's driver shifted uncomfortably. Donovan granted him a subtle nod. "Stay calm, stay parked," then turned back to Trevor with the controlled patience he kept polished for boardrooms. "I'll head to the lounge. You can verify my credentials there." "Credentials?" Trevor barked a short laugh. "Look, pal, that lounge charges a 75 grand annual membership. Don't waste my time hiding from the rain." The wind caught Donovan's suit jacket and slapped it against his frame like a flag. For a breath, he considered ending the conversation with a single phone call, to his chief of staff, or to Van Nuys operations, or to the governor he had quietly bankrolled. But the sting of Trevor's assumption, black man equals imposter, coiled inside him like a spring. He decided to let the scene play forward. Sometimes power is exposed to rot best by standing still. Trevor gestured toward a doorway under the wing of the FBO building. "Try maintenance. They'll hand you a poncho." Then he pivoted, satisfied, and disappeared through the glass doors, leaving Donovan in the downpour. Inside, the signature Lux Lounge glowed with gold fixtures and muted jazz. Ellen Porter, the terminal manager, a white woman of 50 who cultivated the clipped warmth of a high-end hotelier, stood behind a marble counter. When Trevor strode in, she glanced up. "Problem. Guy outside claiming he's on the Blake jet." Trevor snorted. "Dropped a tail number like he Googled it." Ellen's mouth settled into a thin line. "We have real clients landing at 15. The last thing we need is a scene." She stepped to the floor-to-ceiling windows. Donovan still stood in the rain, posture erect, suitcase handle in a relaxed grip. "You know the drill," she said to Trevor. "No badge, no pass, no entry." Moments later, Donovan pushed through the doors anyway, water sheeting off his jacket. Trevor moved to block him. "Sir, I asked you to wait outside." Donovan produced a black titanium wallet. Inside sat a silk finish membership card bearing the holographic sigil of Orion Aero Holdings, the parent company of the very lounge they occupied. Beneath the sigil, D.B. Blake, chairman. He laid it on the counter. Ellen regarded the card as if it might detonate. "We will need proper identification, sir, driver's license, passport." Donovan handed over both. Passport stamped with diplomatic entries. License address in Bel Air. Ellen ran a scanner pen across the documents, eyes flicking from hologram to photo to man. She looked almost disappointed when no alarm sounded. "These look fine," she admitted, then forced a managerial smile. "But the lounge is currently reserved for legacy members with advance reservations. If you take a seat in the public area, we'll verify your charter status." Trevor motioned to a row of hard plastic chairs outside the velvet roped enclave. Donovan's pulse slowed, cool and deliberate. "You just verified. The name on your screen matches mine." Ellen lifted her chin. "Rules are rules. We've had counterfeit cards before. One moment while I called corporate." She picked up the phone, dialed an internal code, then turned her back. Across the room, a white couple in golfing gear breezed past the rope unchallenged, laughing about Chardonnay vintages. One nodded courteously to Donovan, then leaned toward his wife, puzzled. She shrugged. From the corner, a young Latina ground crew apprentice, Sofia Ramirez, watched the tableau through wide eyes. She had heard the whispers that Orion's elusive owner sometimes visited terminals incognito, though she had never glimpsed him. Now she studied the soaked stranger's luggage, sleek custom carbon fiber stamped with minimalistic obi, and something told her he was no charlatan. 15 minutes later, Ellen hung up. "Corporate can't locate an active reservation. Sir, you'll need to leave the premises while we straighten this out." Donovan nodded once, pocketed his documents, and walked back into the rain without a word. This time he headed straight toward the Falcon 8X, its NAV lights blinking in the gloom. At the base of the air stair stood Gary Lutz, a white flight attendant in his late 20s with movie star hair and the swagger of someone who curated Instagram stories about caviar protocols. Gary saw Donovan approach and immediately planted one patent leather shoe on the bottom step. "Whoa there, Chief. Crew only. I'm your passenger," Donovan said. Gary gave an exaggerated once-over. "You? No. Our principal is Mr. Harrison Blake. I've flown with him for years. Harrison is my father." Donovan kept his tone even. "He transferred ownership months ago." Gary smirked. "Nice trivia, but you're still not boarding." Carlos Rivera, the Latino ramp supervisor, tightened his hands on a clipboard nearby. He had worked enough charters to develop a gut about who belonged to the super-rich tribe. Everything about this man, demeanor, tailoring, eyes that missed nothing, rang authentic. Yet hierarchy froze him in place. After all, Gary outranked him in the cabin chain, Ellen outranked Gary on paper, and Carlos had 2 kids headed to college. Gary reached for his radio. Security to stand 5. Potential breach. He turned back to Donovan, voice theatrical. "Sir, impersonating a passenger on a private aircraft is a federal offense. I'll need to see you clear of the ramp immediately." Thunder rolled low over the Santa Monica Mountains. Donovan's phone vibrated, a calendar reminder of the dinner reservation in 2 hours. He thumbed it away and made a decision. Let them dig deeper. Let every hidden bias surface. Only then would he strike. He stepped back, rain soaking his collar, and raised the phone to his ear. "Marilyn," he said when his executive assistant answered, "hold my next 48 hours. Gary crossed his arms. "Phoning a ride?" he jeered. "Something like that," Donovan replied, and ended the call. Trevor and Ellen arrived breathless from the lounge. "There he is," Trevor announced. "Told you he'd try something." Ellen produced a laminated manifest. At the top, D. Blake. But in the column labeled Role the agent had entered owner, code 01. Distracted by her own narrative, Ellen saw the D, assumed Donovan's father's middle initial, and dismissed it. "Manifest lists Mr. Blake." "Yes," she said. "But our profile picture on file does not match you." "Profile picture?" Donovan echoed. "Taken 20 years ago, I imagine." Ellen shook her head. "Sir, step away from the aircraft or security will remove you." Inside the cockpit, Captain Linda Ross, a white woman whose 8,000 accident-free hours made her legend in fractional jet circles, listened through the open window, unease pricking her spine. She had flown Donovan once, long ago, when he was a newly minted tech entrepreneur. It had been a short repositioning leg, but she remembered his courteous nod and intelligent questions about fuel burn. Now she realized the man on the ramp was that same passenger, matured, magnified. Yet Linda hesitated. Flight crews were drilled. Never override ground security disputes. Her pension, her reputation, her captaincy, they felt suddenly fragile. She remained in her seat, hands on the throttles, heart pounding. Donovan tapped his phone again. This time the call was to Oak Shield, the private security firm that protected every Orion-owned property. "Dominic," he said, "I need the Van Nuys feed from gates 5 through 8 for the last 30 minutes. Lock it under NDA level crimson. And dispatch 2 teams, observe only, for now." Trevor snorted. He's bluffing. But when 3 black Suburbans ghosted through the perimeter gate and parked a discreet distance away, engines idling, nerves crackled across the tarmac. Gary shifted his stance. Ellen's nails dug crescents into her palm. Still they doubled down. "We need you gone, sir," Ellen insisted, voice brittle. "Our clientele require discretion." Donovan lifted his gaze to the dark clouds overhead, then to the LED clock above the hangar door. He pictured his wife rehearsing surprise lines in candlelight. The ache behind his sternum sharpened. Time to end this. He dialed again, speaker on. "Nathan, patch me to the board, Priority Alpha." Nathan Sue, Orion's general counsel, answered immediately from New York. Donovan spoke 3 curt sentences, then held the phone aloft so everyone could hear the ringtone as it linked to the secure bridge. "This is Chairwoman Ava Somerville," came a crisp British accent. "Donovan, we're assembled." "Appreciate the prompt response," he said, never taking his eyes off Ellen. "I'm stranded on my own ramp by staff who've decided I don't look like the owner. I want real-time minutes. Everyone present is a witness." Trevor swallowed. "Chairwoman who?" he whispered. Ava's voice cut through the downpour. "Names, please, Donovan." He pointed one by one. Ellen Porter, terminal manager. Trevor Banks, concierge. Gary Lutz, cabin attendant. Captain Linda Ross is observing. Carlos Rivera on the ramp. "Noted," Ava replied. "Proceed." Donovan placed the phone in his breast pocket, mic facing outward. Miss Porter, Mr. Banks, Mr. Lutz, state your reasons for denying me boarding. Trevor tried bravado first. Suspicious credentials, sir. We follow protocol. Describe the suspicion. Trevor floundered. Non-matching demographic markers. Demographic markers, Donovan repeated, ice in his tone. Skin color, yes? No. Well, patterns matter, statistically. Gary jumped in. High net worth principals arrive with entourages. You showed up solo. Donovan inclined his head toward the Suburbans. My entourage is trained not to obstruct until requested. Silence. Rain. The sound of an engine spooling in the distance. Ellen straightened her shoulders. Sir, even if you are who you claim, security sovereignty allows me discretion to challenge. Discretion is not immunity, Donovan said, especially when applied selectively. A sliver of lightning forked beyond the control tower. In its flash, Sofia Ramirez stepped forward. Voice trembling but clear, she addressed Ellen. Ma'am, our manifest does list Donovan Blake. I scanned it when the flight plan was filed. Ellen rounded on her. Ground crew should remain silent. Sophia flushed but stayed put. Donovan caught her eye and gave the smallest nod of respect he could manage without words. The board line crackled again. Nathan Sue. Mr. Blake, HR is drafting immediate suspension notices. Do you want termination? Ellen's face lost all color. Trevor's swagger evaporated. Gary looked toward the cockpit window, hoping for rescue that would not come. Donovan exhaled slowly. Hold that order until debrief. I prefer they speak first. He turned to Gary. Cabin attendant Lutz, describe my luggage. Gary stammered. Carbon fiber, monogram, OB. Correct, Donovan said. Now describe your passenger orientation manual's note on owner branding. Gary stared blankly. Donovan supplied it for him. Discreet. No overt logos. Initials only. Lesson 1 of the Stealth Wealth program or Ian introduced last year. The program you apparently skipped. Gary's jaw worked soundlessly. Captain Linda Ross unbuckled, descended the stair, and took a careful step onto the wet concrete. Mr. Blake, she said, voice steady, I recognize you. I apologize for not intervening sooner. She faced Ellen. This passenger is indeed the aircraft's owner. I will log your obstruction in the flight irregularity report. Carlos Rivera let out an audible breath. Donovan nodded. Thank you, Captain. Then he addressed Ellen. You looked at a 2-decade-old photo and judged that it couldn't be me. Did it cross your mind that black men age, gain muscle, change hairstyles? Ellen's lips trembled. We err on caution. Caution, Donovan echoed. But only when the face is black. The white golfers earlier? Straight through. A van marked airport security rolled up. 2 officers stepped out, but before Ellen could beckon them, Dominic Oakshield's lead agent intercepted, badge glittering with federal contracting authority. A quiet conference ensued. The officers retreated to their vehicle, uncertain. Donovan turned up the phone volume. Ava Somerville's voice filled the damp air. We hear enough. Donovan, instructions? He surveyed the faces before him. Fear, shame, defiance. Even now some part of him wished dismissal alone could cure the rot. But rot unaddressed regrows. Board authorization to lock down Van Nuys operations, he said. All staff to Hangar 14 for emergency review. Outside consultants inbound within 2 hours. Any employee refusing cooperation exits the property permanently. We will reopen when compliance is met. Granted, Ava responded. A gasp rippled through the group. Van Nuys was Orion's busiest West Coast node. Shutting it meant millions in diversion costs. Angry celebrities, news trucks at dawn. Donovan faced Ellen, Trevor, and Gary. You 3 will wait in the conference suite aboard my aircraft. Counsel will join you to record statements. Termination is probable, litigation certain. Transparency is your only bargaining chip. Trevor's bravado shattered. Please, sir. I have a family. So do I, Donovan said, thinking of the dinner reservation, the empty seat across from his wife if he never made it. Families deserve better than the world you nearly enforced tonight. He beckoned Sofia Ramirez. Ms. Ramirez, ride upstairs with Captain Ross. HR will contact you. Your integrity deserves reward. Sophia's eyes welled. Thank you, Mr. Blake. Carlos Rivera cleared his throat. Sir, my hesitation. I should have spoken sooner. You will, Donovan replied. Every leader fails sometimes. What matters is what follows. He climbed the stairs into the Falcon cabin. The plush interior seemed almost indecent after the storm outside. Yet there, beneath the soft recessed lights, humanity would face itself. 2 hours later, as Oakshield agents escorted Ellen, Trevor, and Gary off the jet under provisional suspension, Donovan finally settled into the leather captain's chair at the conference table. The emergency debrief revealed more than individual bias, systemic shortcuts in training, a toxic WhatsApp thread where certain staff scored passengers by probable net worth. Screenshots glowed on tablets like radioactive waste. The board voted unanimously, immediate overhaul. Real-time bias analytics, whistleblower hotlines, rotating mystery passengers of diverse backgrounds empowered to audit service, mandatory restitution fund for wronged clients. Donovan pledged $10 million of his own dividend to seed it. At 10:19 p.m., the Falcon lifted from runway 16R, banked over the glittering San Fernando Valley, and arrowed south along the Pacific. In the cabin's hush, Donovan removed his jacket, loosened his tie, and called his wife. "Detoured," he said, voice thick, "but wheels down at Point Dume in 20. She laughed, a sound that cleared the debris of the day. I kept the candles lit. He gazed out at the velvet ocean stitched with highway lights. Somewhere below, headlines were already birthing. Black billionaire grounds own fleet after racial profile shock. But in that moment he felt only a calm resolve. Power without purpose was mere privilege. Power wielded to dismantle injustice. That was legacy. When the jet touched down on the private helipad above the cliffs, the rain had finally stopped. Donovan stepped onto the pad, smelling salt and eucalyptus, and wondered how many unseen storms still raged in other boardrooms, other terminals. He vowed to chase them, one by one, until the skies cleared.